Well, hello there, all you absolutely magnificent people, and welcome back to another episode of An Ecologist Plays, the channel where we're going to talk about nature while playing games. And we are back in Empires of the Undergrowth, and as you can see, we have quite a nice army coming our way. So I'm going to show you in a moment what we have. We are going to head into this, possibly the final experiment, and then from there, we're going to just quickly rehouse the colony, and then of course do the first fire ant mission. So we're going to jump into that in a moment. So just to show you what we have, we've of course got our queen, we've got our helpers working around the nest to make sure that all the eggs get taken to the respective brood chambers. We also then have quite a few leafcutter ants. All of them are on level 3, as much as we could have. We've got wood ants for range attacks. We have got our Formica Fuscas over here, just as a little bit more melee, like our leafcutter ant mages, but the mages are going to do the main job there. So yeah, that's what we have. That's what we have to work with, and I think that will be enough, I think, for this first experiment. So let's just get them right up here, and then I think we'll do possibly the final experiment, of course doing it on medium difficulty. So let's jump right in, shall we?
I'm afraid we've ran out of time. It doesn't matter if the nest isn't perfect. Run the experiment, then clear out the specimens and bleach the equipment.
Yes, I know. I'm doing it.
And when you are finished here, I think we should have a word about your conduct around the laboratory.
I think we should have a word about your conduct around the laboratory.
What was that?
Nothing. Starting the experiment.
Good. Let me know when you have a result.
All right, here's the other chamber.
Lads, this is it. The winner will have the privilege of joining me for the ultimate test, the real final experiment. The loser will be relegated to the waste disposal.
So it's a bit of survival of the fittest in the end.
The formicariums are connected. Let the war commence!
All right, everybody, come on, make your way here. Thank you. And now I think, yeah, there we go. There is the enemy right over here.
Which colony will strike first?
So what have we got here? Oh, we've got some nice trapjaw ants there. You can see them walking with their jaws open and then closing it. Oh, they're just brilliant. Okay. We also do have quite a lot of what appear to be wood ants there. And of course, army ants as well. Well now. Okay, let's have a look. So what I think I'll do is I've got squad number 2 forming up here, which consists of some of my leafcutter mages, not the majority of them, and then some of my wood ants as well, also not the majority. What I'll do is I'll send group 2 in here first. Hopefully they can annihilate them, and then if things go wrong, we've got our other squadron just kind of chilling over here, ready to attack again and to make progress. So let's charge forth, shall we? It will be very interesting to see now the different attacks here, because the army ants, as was pointed out in the comments of the previous video, they are not very, they don't have very good eyesight.
Finally met.
There we go.
Interesting combinations. I wonder which is more effective.
So there we go. We've got our mages keeping them in check here, or holding the line, and then the wood ants, of course, spraying formic acid at the enemies here. The Odontomachus, the trapjaw ants here, they just biting with a lot of force, and they of course
beating back the counterparts. Victory seems within their grasp. But what's this? Could it be?
This is why we have squad 1 ready.
God.
And he's just killing a whole bunch of my ants. Okay. Outside interference here. Alright, I think what we'll now do, let's have squad 1 trying to push through here.
Most of our erectors are fighting very far from their nest. I wonder, what would happen if their queen was threatened? Yes, these mole crickets should reveal the relevant behaviors.
The mole crickets? Really? Are there mole crickets in here? Oh, there are mole crickets! Oh wow, okay. Now I do suspect this is the European mole cricket, and we will check on that in a moment. Grillotalpa. Now Grillotalpa is one of my favorite scientific names. Grillus means cricket, talpa is mole, so this is literally the cricket mole. And the scientific name of the European one, as I've mentioned, is Grillotalpa, meaning this is the mole cricket. So it is the most mole cricketest of the mole crickets, of all of them. Which is just fun. Now, the mole cricket here is actually an omnivore, so it will be feeding a lot on plant matter, so eating roots, eating tubers. It will both eat above ground and below ground. So it'll be eating the roots of your grasses, for example, and potatoes and those types of things. But it can also come above ground and actually collect plant matter to then take back to their burrows underground. But they can also be omnivorous, and they can also eat a variety of other little critters. So basically a very, very generalist diet. So in many areas they are considered a pest, but the European mole cricket is actually endangered in the UK. There have been only 4 sightings since 1970, I think, up until now. So they are very, very rare, and that's mainly due to things like ploughing and pesticides and doing all kinds of things with agriculture. So they unfortunately have declined quite a lot there. Now this one there, as I've mentioned, Gryllotalpa, the one we have in South Africa is Gryllotalpa africana, meaning the African mole cricket, which is of course then its scientific name as well. Now you may wonder, why on earth is it actually called a mole cricket? But if you look here, the first set of legs. So they are the hind legs, the middle legs, and then these legs, the forelimbs here. You can see they're kind of flattened. They're kind of, there we go, like that, shovel-shaped. And that is exactly what they look like. They actually have these very broad paddles for forelimbs, and they are incredibly strong. And what they will do is they will actually push the soil to either side when they are digging. They don't dig by digging the soil out and pushing it and putting it behind them. No. They actually just decide, well, screw this. The soil is in the way. I will move the soil to the sides. And that's exactly what they do there. So the limbs here are adapted to pushing soil to the side. And if you hold them in your hands, they will very easily push your fingers apart in order to dig through your fingers to actually get to the other side. Really an awesome critter. I do love them. Now, one thing we can also see here are these 2 weird appendages at the back here. And you may be thinking, well, first of all, what on earth are these things? And secondly, aren't those the same appendages we see in earwigs? And well, technically the answer is yes. These are what we call cerci, or singular form. One of these would be called a circus, and together they are the cerci. And they are sensory appendages in the crickets, most likely used to detect low-frequency sounds and movements in air currents and all kinds of things, because on them they will have thousands and thousands of tiny little hairs that have nerves associated with them. So they are able to detect a variety of things with them. And in earwigs, these cerci are pronounced and actually hardened to then be used in fighting with each other. Males in particular will be fighting with each other. But the crickets still have them, though they don't use that for fighting. So these guys here are obviously here for the ants, for the eggs, and possibly for the queen, because that will be a nice, tasty meal. So we are going to, thankfully we have got a major over here that can start stalling it, and hopefully they can actually be eradicated or removed from the nest here. Really, really, really strong diggers though, the mole crickets. I'm not surprised they can actually appear so quickly. Alrighty, there we go. So there is one. There are more over here. So it looks like 3 mole crickets. They may actually have been digging around, not for the food, but to initially find a nice place to start calling from. Because what they will do is they will have...
Quickly,
I guess.
my little raptors.
Oh, my raptors.
You
Your
wouldn't want to be
raptors.
caught by the finger of death.
No, not the finger of death again. No, run, my little raptors. Run to the colony. No. Right, we're actually in the enemy
Excellent progress,
nest
my
here.
raptors. Strike at your nemesis.
Yes.
There can be only one.
But we are actually heading straight to the queen here. But I think in our colony, yeah, we have eradicated the mole crickets here. There we go.
Perfect. I knew my raptors would prevail. Now we can prepare for the real...
Have you finished yet?
Oh, yes, our raptors have dominated the Phobacarium.
Wonderful. I expect a full report by the end of the week. For now, you can start by clearing away. Make sure anything contaminated with that jelly goes straight to the incinerator.
Yes, very good. Jelly to the incinerator. The jelly is for my ants, and no one is going to take it away from you.
That's what I was saying, those mole crickets there, they were most likely looking for a place to call, because they will dig their tunnels and they'll have special tunnels to call from. And then they call to attract a female, and the females will then come to their nest, and if they are happy, they will actually then, of course, mate with the male. And then she will lay her eggs, and, the whole life cycle continues. But I think, let's quickly rehouse the colony. Yes.
Short-sighted, simple, churlish fools. They don't understand. None of them understand. The experiment must proceed. There isn't much time. Quickly, my raptors. Into the terrarium. You'll be safe here.
Alright, we got thankfully quite a lot of royal jelly there. Let's rehouse our colony.
Is it done?
Yes. Look. Gone.
I see. Well, good. It's about time. Anyway, I'm going to need you to make yourself available this afternoon. Apparently, a large quantity of unrefined jelly has gone missing from the overflow vessel, and Supply wants to speak with the whole group about proper checkout procedures. You wouldn't happen to know anything about it, would you?
What? No! What would I want with unrefined jelly?
Quite.
What indeed?
What would I want indeed?
Oh, yeah. Scientist 2 is such a random individual. But as you can see, we have no food, we've got no nothing over here. Let's actually jump right into Cold Blood then, shall we? Because we are now going to play as the red imported fire ants, the Rifas. And I learned my lesson. We are going to go for Vigorous. Vigorous is just absolutely amazing. Like, in the live stream, I did Pervasive, and, that's nice, getting free ants, but Vigorous is just absolutely amazing. I thought that the buff that they get, because it says here, upon hatching, the ant briefly receives an attack damage, speed, and resistance buff. And I thought, okay, well, that's probably going to be like 20 seconds or so. Apparently, that buff lasts like 2 minutes, so it's a very, very awesome one to go for. So we're going to go for Vigorous. Right, here we are. Let's start digging, shall we?
This Solenopsis invicta fire ant queen has landed on the edge of a swamp. She may be far from her native habitat, but the fire ants are well known for their ability to adapt. Competition for food will be fierce. She will need to raise an army quickly to compete with the local predators.
Yes, indeed. So we're just going to dig out some chambers here. We're going to put our workers over here, our nest workers at least. And now that they're hatching, they can just come and collect some extra food for us, so that we can get this colony started. And of course, we're going to have our food chamber close to the entrance. And now it is time to get our soldiers. Alright, so there, our first soldier has hatched. And you can see, they are bigger than the workers, of course, with the caste differentiation here. And they are speedy. Let's put them with the workers. Come on, guys, we're just going to quickly excavate over here. Excavate to that point there. And, of course, annihilate whatever comes through here.
The ants have uncovered a group of hungry checkered beetle larvae. The soft grubs may look defenseless, but they have big jaws and appetites to match.
You can see they're extremely fast little Solenopsis. We're going to dig out this section as well.
Predators are loose in the nest. The larvae
absolutely annihilating them. So with the Rifas here, they can have more than one queen in a colony. They can have multiple queens. They can form mega colonies, in fact. They're one of the few species that can actually form what we call mega colonies, with millions of semi-related individuals scattered over a landscape, and each colony technically just being a sister colony of the previous one. And instead of fighting with each other, they actually tolerate one another. They can have an incredibly high density in an area. And in terms of being an invasive species, that's one of the major problems with them. The fact that they can form these mega colonies. Well, that and the fact that they have got a very potent cocktail of venom that they will be injecting every time they sting you. They inject that into you, and apparently it burns like it's going out of fashion. We're just quickly building up a bit of a force before we venture out into the outside world. We're just quickly digging around, because with our soldiers here, we really can, I think, we'll be able to take on anything that this underground world throws at us. And each time we bring food, we expand our numbers. The larvae here of the Redish checker beetle, they feed mostly on the larvae of other wood-boring beetles. In fact, most checkered beetles, actually, the larvae and the adults, will be feeding on other beetles. And the larvae in particular will be feeding on wood-boring beetles, which to some extent this would be. Although we are underground, you can see here there are a whole bunch of little weevil larvae over here. Well, these are just what these guys were feeding on. They don't want to feed on us as ants, but they are defending their stash of food, basically. So, yeah, I mean, if I have a whole bunch of lions running towards me, I'm going to also just try and punch them in the face, even though I don't want to eat them. But yeah, so these little guys are quite awesome. And you can see, even though they are beetles, they do have that basic beetle larvae structure, like grubs, for example, but they look very, very different to these grubs over here of the weevils. And they look very different from the grubs of the Scarabidae subfamily as well. You know, those typical grubs we see in Grounded, for example. So, that's cool. That is really cool. We are just trying to clear as much as we can before we head out into the overworld. So here we have the adult of the reddish checkered beetle as well. And if we zoom in on his pretty face, you can see there they have quite nice mandibles. And the larva over there also, oh man, look at those lovely mandibles over there, of course used to dismember their prey. And with the large one here, with the adult, they of course will also be feeding on a variety of things. And some of them will even be flower visitors. They will sit on the flowers and they will either eat the pollen of the flowers, or they actually eat other insects that come and visit the flower. Imagine you're a little wasp, you're just kind of chilling, you're going to go drink some nectar at the flower, and the next moment you've got this guy charging to you and grabbing you. Well now, that is a very, very interesting way of doing things. A bit of an ambush predator as well. But a lot of them are also free-running and active hunters, not just ambush hunters. Anyway, that's cool.
A developed checkered beetle, An Ecologist Rosmaris, has been disturbed by the ants. It has the same ravenous appetite and slicing jaws as its juvenile counterpart, but now paired with thick armor plates, it represents a far greater danger to the colony.
So you can see there the outside wing coverings there, right over there. Of course, when the beetle is the right way around, those hard wing covers, they will be providing quite a nice bit of protection against all kinds of things. Unfortunately, with so many fire ants in an area, they can very quickly swarm it and actually try to sting in its joints and any weak spot it may have. So they're relying on a mechanical defense to try and keep them safe. Now, fire ants like these are omnivores. They will eat all kinds of things they can get, of course, including aphids that they will be farming as well. And we are going to do that in a moment. We're just first collecting a whole bunch of food over here. And I think what we should do, yeah, we should just dig through to this section over here. And then we'll get a whole bunch of workers. And the workers can be sent to just come and collect the food over here. We just needed our soldier to get rid of that larva of the checkered beetle. Well, since there aren't any more dangerous things over here, our workers can just carry on doing their thing. Soldiers, we are, however, going to go outside.
The colony lies in the shadow of a great titan to the north, an American bullfrog.
Oh, hello there, beauty.
This large female has found the perfect spot to feed. Sheltered by foliage and in the path of many wandering insects and smaller amphibians, she has no reason to move on. Eventually she will need to be displaced, but for now, the fire ants have more pressing business to attend to.
Yep, we need to somehow survive in this very, very interesting place. So of course, we have got our Venus flytraps over here, Dionaea muscipula. So that's one thing we have got here, nice little predatory plant. We also have other predatory plants as well, which are right over here, the pitcher plants. The design here is that insects will climb up this leaf. This is basically a modified leaf, just rolled up like this. They will walk around over here collecting some sticky secretions over here, some nectar-like secretions, and this area here is extremely slippery, so when they stray too far in, they just zoop, plop into the liquid down below. The pitcher plant has got liquid down there, and they will drown and then dissolve over time, and the plant will then simply absorb the nutrients. Additionally, it has got a little lip over here, a little lid, and in some species they will have special secretions under it to attract the ants, and then they will lose their footing when they are upside down over here and drop down into the pitcher. In other cases, it's just to keep rainwater out of this pitcher over here, because the pitcher plant doesn't want an excess amount of liquid in here, because if there is too much water in here, insects that fall in will simply flow out again. They need to fall down and drown. The pitcher plants do not want the insects to actually escape, so they've got a lip over here to keep the excess rainwater out of the pitcher at the center there. What we are going to quickly do is come and collect some food over here. I know I have set it so they don't collect food, but we are, I think, first just going to come over here and get some caterpillars from this plant over here. Alright, so of course, our ants go and they...
This ant has ventured onto a Venus flytrap in search of nectar.
Yeah, a whole bunch of them
If it brushes
did.
against the hairs on the open, red-tinged leaves, they will snap shut, encasing the ant in an ever-tightening cell. There is no escape. The prisoner will be slowly digested until nothing more than a husk remains. A small colony of Phaedulae maurici big-headed ants have established themselves on a hill to the west. Scavenging for seeds, aphids, and dead insects, they are unlikely to pose a threat to the Invicta colony, if left undisturbed.
Alright, whole bunch of things happening there. With the Venus flytrap, we've got these little trigger hairs over there. There's a toad that is really, really close to our nest. He may be digging away, we'll see in a moment. Oh, of course, the moment we arrive, the toad goes away. We're just going to finally get our group of workers that I set up to actually come and collect the food over here. That toad seems to be going away. This one is relatively close. This one is also somewhere else. I think this toad does appear to be coming. Here we go. This little guy is the eastern narrow-mouthed frog in the Microhylidae family, and I knew that name was familiar. Quickly double-checked, and well, we do have 2 species of them in southern Africa. Not of these specific frogs, but their relatives in the same family as them. And they are the rubber frogs, of which I have only ever seen this little guy, the red-banded rubber frog. They are poisonous, as their bright colors actually show. And something very, very interesting, they do not have an eardrum visible behind their eye over here. If you look at many other frogs and looking at toads, for example, they will have the tympanum or the eardrum visible as a disc behind the eye there. But these little guys, the microhylids, don't seem to have that. And also something interesting to note, very, very narrow mouths, and with a lot of these narrow-mouthed microhylid frogs, they are feeding on ants and termites. So our little Solenopsis invicta ants here are in fact in real danger, because this is an ant and termite eating species. So
It may be small for a toad, but its
let's take it
appetite
out.
for ants is insatiable. Secretions from its skin burn any that manage to escape its projectile tongue.
And there we go. So interesting that they did mention that it is a type of toad, and that is it's a bit of a misnomer, even though it is sometimes called the eastern narrow-mouthed toad. They are in fact not in the Bufonidae or the true toad family. They are in a different family. They are, as I've mentioned, in the Microhylidae, not the Bufonidae. Alright, we can just double check here, because this little guy is coming closer again. Come on, just dig through. We just want to end this. No? Okay, I guess not. No, it seems to be going away again. Okay, I think let's head outside once more then. Because what we also have are these guys, the milkweed plants. And on them, we've got aphids right over there that will be secreting some honeydew for us. And we want that lovely, lovely honeydew. So what we're going to do is we're going to just bring our fire ants over here. There is a salamander running around here as well. Hopefully we can take it out without any problems. But we're going to come and take these aphids and take them closer to our actual nest. Because over here, it's dangerous to come here every time just to get a few aphids instead.
Many of the milkweed plants growing nearby are infested with aphids. Their honeydew excretions present an ideal, energy-rich food source for the fire ants. Aphids far from the nest are vulnerable, however, and are sometimes relocated closer to home, where they can be better protected from predators and thieves.
Okay, what we're doing now is just quickly... Oh, hello there. We were building a bridge. Come on, guys.
A wasp manted fly, Climachala brunea, has descended from her perch into the path of the ants.
Now, these guys, the wasp manted flies or wasp mantis flies, either one is acceptable, they are quite cool and they're very weird. So first of all, they look like a mantis, they're not related to a mantis. Secondly, they look like a wasp, they're not related to a wasp either. The appearance here is mimicry. It's trying to look like a wasp. Now wasps of course will be stinging and are quite dangerous. These guys, not so much. So this is what we call Batesian mimicry, when a non-dangerous species mimics or looks like a dangerous species. And then of course the claws in the front here looking like the claws or the raptorial claws of a mantis. This is an example of convergent evolution, where two unrelated species, the mantid fly over here and the mantis, have come up with the same design because it works. Grasping arms like this are great at grabbing prey animals, and so both groups have evolved this. So the question then is, what on earth are they even related to? The wings here with these veins extending in a clear membrane, that kind of looks very similar to a dragonfly, but they're not related to a dragonfly. Instead, they are related to the nerve wings, the Neuroptera, which include antlions. So these guys are relatives of the antlions and lacewings. They are not related to dragonflies, they're not related to mantids, and they are not related to the wasps either. So they are a lacewing and antlion relative. Now, secondly, the reproductive cycle of these guys. There are many interesting things to talk about with them, but I don't want to spend too much time on them because we are here to focus on the fire ants. But what they do when they are larvae, they attach onto the substrate and then they wiggle around a little bit. They raise themselves a little bit up in the air and they wave themselves around. The thing they're trying to do is they're trying to attach onto a passing spider. Not just any spider. These guys specialize in wolf spiders, the Lycosidae. And once they have attached onto a spider, they're waiting for them to actually mate. If they have attached onto a male, by wiggling around, when these two spiders mate, they will pass on or attach onto the female spider. If they have already attached onto a female spider, great. And now, when they have mated and the female now lays her eggs, the larvae will actually move into that ball of eggs, into that sticky liquid, and it will now be enclosed with the eggs of the wolf spider. And they will be carried around by the female spider. And once they are inside that egg sac, they feed on the babies of the wolf spider. So they are very ferocious predators, even as babies. Although that is basically an example of brood parasitism as well, where the young are raised to some extent by another species, or they are feeding on the young of another species. Really awesome creatures these. I absolutely adore them. I have never seen one of them. No, I haven't, unfortunately. I would love to. I just had to go into my memory banks here, and I know I have not seen a manted fly. But hopefully, one day I will. Now, back to the action. So we did lose quite a few individuals there. However, we should be able to still quite easily replenish our numbers, but for now we are going to use our numbers to actually make a little bridge over here. Of course, our legs are locking into one another.
By linking themselves together, the fire ants have formed a pontoon out of their own bodies. It stretches from their home territory to a previously unreachable island, giving them access to new sources of food. The battle has begun.
Right, we're under attack? Oh, it's a checkered beetle. There we go, finally the numbers are here.
A magnolia green jumping spider,
we can't catch a break.
Redish, has ambushed a fire ant.
Alright, so this milkweed closest to our nest now has 14 aphids living on it. You can see them kind of over there, all kinds of little spots. They are currently drinking the sap of this milkweed plant, and they are secreting little sticky nectar, basically, little honeydew as it is called. And the ants are going for that. We're just going to upgrade our food stores here so we can actually store more food as well. And then we are going to also increase the number of soldiers we have. Because, well, we are going to need that. But this is where we're going to call it today. The recording is very long, so I will cut this into 2 pieces and I will be back on Friday. There is also going to be a live stream on Friday, so watch the community tab to see what game I will be streaming on Friday. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please do give it a like and please comment with any questions you may have regarding any of the creatures we have seen today. And until next time, everybody, stay safe. I'll see you all soon. Bye!